Welcome back to our second live. I want to welcome Christopher J. Brown, psychic medium, author of I Fucking Knew It. And we can find that on Amazon. But let's hear about Chris first. Sorry, you're going to hear my dogs acting a fool in the background today because they're on one. So,
Mine as well.
so good luck to all of us.
Fingers crossed.
Right. So, Chris, tell us about you. Who are you? What led you to be you today?
That is a very good question, but I will try to answer as best I can. So, as you said, I am a psychic medium. I've been doing that for about 8 or 9 years professionally, and just kind of like doing that sort of thing. And I've just been trying to. My main focus has been connecting people with those on the other side. You know what I mean? There's a lot of psychics and mediums that deal with the future or deal with the past. I deal with loved ones who have passed. And so that's my main focus. That's my main goal. But like I said, I've been doing that for about 8 years now. I got my start in paranormal investigation, which is really cool. Just kind of like being at a haunted house, this haunted location, and feeling like there was like a young boy spirit playing games with me almost. And, like I didn't really believe it when I first started getting into all this. Like I was kind of an atheist, and I'll rephrase. I was agnostic. I wasn't an atheist. I thought something was there, or that there was something more to it. I just didn't know what it was. Boy, was I right. Like something like just like smacked me right across the face. But so I was in that haunted location. I started getting kind of like information and stuff. And then I went home and I YouTubed the same spot. And there was a medium who went to the exact same spot I was standing in, the exact same haunted house. And she was saying, there's a young boy spirit who's playing games with me. And that's kind of what I felt too. And so, of course, my jaw dropped to the floor and I was like, whoa, what does this all mean? Like, why am I feeling this way? And why is, spirits connecting with me? And it led me to discovering that I was a medium. Watch like YouTube videos that says like top 10 things to say you're a medium, like ways to know, and like what's it like to be a spiritual person, and what's it like to open yourself up to having spiritual gifts and things like this. And so I just kind of really went down a rabbit hole. I went in full force and I have not stopped ever since.
That's crazy. So
Yeah.
you pretty much are like, you can communicate with the dead. You can, yeah, and you wrote this amazing book about it, which I haven't gotten to read just yet, but I'm getting there. Oops, as I knock everything over. So my thing is like, I really would like to know, how did you realize that, this was, how did it not scare the pants off of you?
Well, it was, how did it not scare the pants off me? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, well, I grew up in a haunted house, so I kind of had a foundation of belief in the spirit world. But like, I mean, I'm not going to lie. When I heard that, when I heard the other medium say that she was feeling the same things I was, like, I kind of pooped myself a little bit.
Right.
Right. Like, what? I was like, what? Because like I said, I was agnostic. I didn't know what and I especially didn't know what a medium was. I had no frame of reference for that. Like when I was growing up, my mom never saw them, or she never talked about them. She never watched them on TV. So I was like, what the fuck is a medium? Excuse my language.
Oh, no, you're okay.
Okay, good. But I was like, what the hell does this even mean? Like what? And like, so it wasn't that it scared me, but it reinstilled a magic in me that I lost since childhood, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like when you're kids and everything's kind of magical, and you can live in any sort of world you want, and you can create this fantastic fantasy around yourself. It reinstilled that for me, because I'm like, magic isn't really, it's not Harry Potter. It's not fake. Like magic is real, and like
it is very much.
It exists within the universe, and the universe allows us to tap into it. So scared, not so much, but like, I guess awestruck and just like completely dumbfounded as to like what was going on. It was pretty weird.
I mean, because like a lot of people are scared about all of that, about the, the world beyond and stuff like that. And the metaphysical aspects of just everything that's going on around us, and everybody has their own opinion. Were you were your parents like ever, did they raise you in a church? Did they try to kind of stifle you? You know, what
Yeah.
was that? What was it like where you, when you were young, when this was happening?
So when I was young, it took going, like, looking back after I found out I was a medium to realize that some of the things I was thinking and feeling were mediumistic and psychic,
Mhm.
you know. But at the time, I didn't know what to call it or what it was. But like when I grew up, I was raised a Catholic, which I'm recovering now.
Mhm.
Um, but
Amen. I
yeah,
was raised in the Christian church,
yeah, so you get it.
recovering. Yes.
My first and second grade, I went to a place called Holy Cross Elementary, which was in
Mhm.
South Portland, Maine. So first and second grade, I did that. I had to go to church pretty regularly, and honestly, like, the church didn't sit well with me. Like, I didn't vibe
Yes.
with what was being taught. I didn't like. It wasn't like mediumship where I was like, oh, this jives with me. Like, I can relate to this, and I can
Mhm.
feel this in my soul. I didn't feel it, so I was kind of disillusioned with that. But they, when I say it was just my mom. My dad wasn't around,
Mhm.
but she didn't really have words for it, and she didn't really believe in it either. And I don't know if she does now. She was very hesitant to kind of be like, well, because she goes, if you're a medium, then why can't they tell you the lottery numbers?
Then
And I'm
that's always the question,
like,
because it's like the afterworld doesn't work like that. It
no, they
really
don't.
doesn't.
And they're
And
not going to mess with our free will either. I mean,
no,
if I won the lottery, I would probably buy a bunch of stupid shit with it, and the universe knows that. The
that's
universe
what my
knows that I would
husband
be
says.
so irresponsible that it would be like the downfall of my whole being. So
Yeah,
they're probably like, hey, time out, dude. Like, you don't need the lottery numbers. You just need to, like, deliver messages from us, and, like,
right. That's about we
like,
give you another avenue of you making your
yeah,
money.
exactly. Yeah, we'll help you out in different ways. Lottery, not so
Yeah.
much.
I mean,
Uh,
because that kind of led into my next question was like, oh, well, I'll wait, because you were talking about your mom and whether she believes it or not. So what did
yeah.
you tell her?
Well, I was like, this is gonna sound crazy. I was like, but I really truly feel like I'm a medium, and that I can talk with spirits. And she was very hesitant. She was very skeptical, and as she should have been. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
We don't talk so much anymore, just due to different personal things.
Yeah.
But last time I spoke with her, she was very skeptical about it still.
Mhm.
So I think she's one of those people that needs, like, you know, if you say 10 things about a person in spirit, if you get one thing wrong, she's like, nope,
Oh, you're a fake.
you're a fake. Yeah, that's not real. Like, I get the eye
Bullshit.
color. It's not blue eyes, it's green eyes. Oh, you're wrong. It's like,
Yeah.
well, okay, but I got 9 out of 10 things right. That's pretty good odds,
Pretty
like.
damn good. Right.
So
Exactly. I mean,
that's how she is. She's very skeptical when it comes to that, and she's very much like, if it's not all 10 things, she doesn't believe it.
okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. No, exactly. What you say, it makes sense. I'm just trying to understand, because I used to be one of those. I
Oh,
used to be one of
skeptic,
those
yeah.
skeptics, where I was like, no, I think they're full of shit,
Yeah.
but I the more that I did my research, though, the more I came around. So it wasn't like, I'm kind of ashamed that I was that person, but it's because the spirit world, they're not there's the energy transference, there's the veil that's in the way, there's a lot of things that are, they have to get the energy worked up in order to even talk to you. It's just, there's tons of stuff, and I wish that I would have paid attention more in physics and science class than I did when I was just, so I could explain the energy difference and energy everything, because that's what we all are. We're all energy.
At the end of the day, that's 100% right.
Exactly, and that's all it is it all is energy. So when I stopped going to church, and I came from that background, and I started kind of like, well, let me see what's going on here. And I actually started studying it because I wanted to know my enemy.
Ah,
That's what they tell you
yeah.
in church. Know
Yeah.
your enemy.
That's right.
So I researched, and I ended up turning completely into a pagan.
It's funny how that works, right?
It is. It's like, oh, this feels more natural and more normal than going to church and listening to some guy stand up and yell at me and, tell me, are you convicted yet? Is your soul convicted yet? And it's just like, and I'm not Baptist. I didn't go to the fire and brimstone churches. It was a Bible believing, Bible teaching church, so we learned a little bit of everything out of the Bible, but I'm a psycho, and I was really into like the end times books, Daniel, and yes, the tribulation and all that. And, because I studied that, I do see a lot of things in today's society that would lead people to believe, oh my God, we're in the end times. Right. The whole taking your whole paycheck to buy a loaf of bread. We're almost there. Yeah. So, I mean, I get that.
That's so true, though. I mean,
it is. But, in all reality, if you look at each and every different religion, they all have they all have a flood scenario. Mm-hmm. They all have some kind of end time apocalypse scenario. They all have a judgment day. And, you all everybody's got a higher power. So is Christianity, and especially as late in the game as Christianity became, is it just something that has occurred because it was like, it was originally Catholicism, and Christianity branched off because somebody didn't like something that Catholicism was doing. You know what I mean? So that's why there's Lutherans, but it's, and a lot of people don't understand a lot of religious, what I've noticed is a lot of religious people do not understand their own background, and they're taught one thing in theology classes when they go to college for this, but they're not taught, oh, well, you have the King James Bible because King James took out books. That's why it's called the King James Version.
It's his version of what he thought was appropriate. Yeah.
Exactly, because he took out everything that would have empowered people.
My bad.
Oh, I thought it was mine.
Hang on a second.
Yeah. They're all going crazy.
Oh, they're mental.
They're doing their job.
Oh, yeah. They're just protecting the fam. That's all.
Yeah. They're doing their job. Gotta love them.
All right,
but yeah. Oh, I like I like your moon phases back there.
Maybe it was the reason. Maybe it was the reason.
But like the King James took out things. You're not even reading the right Bible if you're looking to current Christianity. So a lot of people I've noticed do not even understand or realize that stuff. And it's kind of hard because like my parents are still very much into going to church. Well, my mom, my father passed away in January, but my mom is very much, not necessarily having to go to a church, but about the Bible and what the Bible says and this, that, and the other. And it's really difficult to explain to her. I had to, talk to her about, she wanted to know what I believe and how is it different. And I'm like, exactly. How is it different? It's really not. It's just named different. You call it praying. I call it meditating. That was one of my biggest examples. But, how do you even bother trying anymore? Like the naysayers to convince them? Or are you past all that?
I don't try to convince anybody. I don't try to make anybody believe anything that they don't want to. What I do is I just, I have demonstrated
you said
what I know how to do. I did.
Sorry,
That's great. I did totally say that. What I do is, this is why we're friends. Because
I'm a child.
Oh yeah, that's priceless.
Help it. I'm so sorry.
No, that's perfect. I needed that laugh. I truly did. But what I try to do with people that are skeptical is just show them what I do best. You know what I mean? And I try to, like, I've had people come to gallery readings. There was one gentleman there that was, his arms were folded and he had his sunglasses.
Oh, he was already.
Oh yeah, he was ready to tear me to bits. And his arms were folded. He had his hat down, and sure enough, his best friend came through, and I literally saw him go like this. He was like, fuck. And I was like, and
Love it.
Yeah, and I proceeded to give him a reading, and then afterwards he came up to me and was like, "Look, dude, like I came here to disprove you."
And we froze.
There's
We
no
have
way you could have
frozen.
known. He was like, "So, oops."
Oh, we have frozen.
There we go.
Hold on. There we go. So
We're
he
back.
came up to you. Yeah, he came up to you and was like, I was here to disprove you. And then I
Exactly.
didn't hear the rest.
Oh yeah, so he said he was there to disprove me, and then he said he was like, I'm really sorry, because there's something clearly going on here that I don't understand. He's like, and what you're doing is a good thing. Like, you gave me a good message, and I appreciate that. So for the naysayers and the skeptics, I show them how I demonstrate spirit coming through.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully it makes an impact on them. And if it doesn't, that's fine. Because like I said, you're going to have those people that come in and they're like, well, he got 9 things out of 10, and so he got that one thing wrong, so he's full of shit. But then you're gonna have people like it's all different walks of life. You know what I mean? There's some people that come in and like they want to tell you everything. You can say like, yes, there's a gentleman in spirit here, and they're like, oh, it's my grandfather, and he was in the military. He blah, 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 and they spill their guts, and you're like, no, time out.
You're like, let me do my thing.
Right? Yeah, they're like, no, let them tell me, because it's way more validating that way. So
yes,
it kind of varies. You have like the diehard skeptics. You have the people that like believe no matter what. And I try to tell those people that believe no matter what, like, be skeptical of mediums still. Like, still have that skepticism. Just don't be cynical.
Right. And that was where I was at. I was cynical. I was like, no, they're full of shit,
Yeah.
But once I got a tarot reading from someone, and I had never done it before. And I was just like, I was blown away because I didn't understand, because it's for my thing. What I had expressed to my mother is, let's use the Bible. Let's say that, the Bible is true. Then if we are made in God's image, don't you think we have a little bit of ability that he has?
Yeah.
I mean,
that's a great way to look at it.
And she looked at me and kind of was like, huh. And I was like, it's not all bad. I'm not saying that it's all good. It's not all bad. You have to have a balance in nature anyways, regardless.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's, I think, why, she kind of stopped talking to me about it, because this actually, when I started learning about it, and I'm not trying to bash anybody who might be a Bible believing Christian or a Catholic or any religion, but I'm just saying we need to understand that everybody in their different pantheons, because that's all it is a pantheon. It's Christians and Catholics. They're the Judaism, the Judaic pantheon. They believe in the Jewish God, all that stuff. My thing is that just because your pantheon says one thing, but they all say it. Every single Egyptians have it. The Egyptian, yes, the Greeks have it. The Romans have it. Norse has it. They all have an all father. They all have a virgin mother, or somebody who is looked at as the mother of the group. So
or Jesus figure that was sold for X amount of silver. Like there's always that. So.
Yeah, and I just would like it's hard, and I don't know if you've ever had one of these guys at any of your events, but the hecklers that are just, Jesus is Lord, Jesus is your savior. I don't know if you've ever run across that, and if you have, I wish that people would stop, because to me that's ridiculous.
I have had that happen at a.
Have you?
Oh yeah, there was a gentleman that was like, so this whole medium thing that you're doing. He's like, you really need to reconsider what you're doing for work.
Why are you here, dude?
And I was like, I know. I'm like, what? And I was like, is that right? And he was like, only the Lord has the right to give that sort of thing. And then, much to your credit, I was thinking in my head, like, well, if we're all a part of that, then, just like you said, like, why am I the bad guy here? Because I'm giving messages of love, and what he said was, it's demons. It's not really loved ones. It's demons.
Everything's demons.
because they love love. Demons just absolutely love love, and they want to tell you how much they care about you. And I was like, that doesn't check out. Like,
Not at all.
no.
Not at all.
I kind of chuckled to myself because it's like he's just coming from a place of ignorance, of not knowing.
Yeah.
Right. Ignorance
and it's true.
Really a bad thing, but it's just
and that's
unknowing.
That's kind of like when, because I know that there's some very orthodox Muslims out there, very stringent, very orthodox, and women, the burqas and all that stuff, but they also don't. I completely lost my train of thought.
We were talking about how people are skeptical and how they don't really quite believe in all this stuff, and the fact that their God is only allowed to be able to deliver these messages.
Oh yeah, there we go. Because it also tells them in their books to, well, it might not say necessarily kill the bad, kill the lukewarm, it might not say to hurt them, but it does say, I know Matthew 18 in the Bible says, if your brother doesn't return to Christ, there's a whole list of things that you do to bring someone back into the church, then you cast them out as an unbeliever. There are all of those stories in the Bible and in the Muslim faith, in the Quran.
Yeah.
And, whether you cast them out, whether you don't talk to them, disassociate, they're dead to you, whatever.
Sure.
But if that was, if that was the case, that I haven't seen anybody else's pantheon sit there and say, oh, we don't talk to you because you believe something different. We're all believing the same thing. And that's what I don't understand. So
Agreed.
In metaphysics, it's obviously it's something you can't feel. It's a spirit world. Things can get mistranslated. And just because the one thing doesn't get translated, maybe it got translated improperly. Maybe one thing meant something and you thought it meant something else. You only tell what the spirit says to you.
Exactly. And it's another language. So just like I use this example a lot, and I think it's really good to kind of like explains how this kind of language of spirit works. I used to know this gentleman. He was from Puerto Rico, and he was like, okay, there's a word for little bug, but there's also a word that's an insult. So he's like, you have to be very careful if you say this word, because it could mean little bug or it could mean like asshole or something. So he's like, it's a different dialect, it's a different part of the thing, so it can be translated differently. So like if you didn't know and you're just reading out of a textbook, you might pronounce that word and someone's going to go, oh, why the hell did you say that?
Right.
And it's the same thing with spirit communication, same thing with readings here. They could tell me something and I could be like, well, what the hell does that mean? And it's like, it's a misinterpretation of the signs and symbols that I'm getting.
Yes.
And it's learning the language, and it's learning how spirit talks, which is very difficult because there's no course. Well, there's courses you can take, but there's no manual that says like, this is how it's done.
There's not a book for the recently deceased.
There should be though.
There should be.
Piece, right?
Hey, tell one of the spirits they need to get on that. You can write that one.
Yeah, right. The New York Times bestseller from the other side, right?
Right.
That's awesome.
What spirit wants you to know.
Yeah, exactly. A channeled text.
Hey, dipshit, don't do this.
Yeah. Listen here, dumbass. Figure it out. Yeah.
So, when you you were just at a convention or you had an event last weekend, right?
Yep. I was in South Carolina and Charleston.
Yeah. So, was it like was it like what are those called?
It was a gallery.
Thank you. That's the word I was looking for. As where spirit comes through and is talking to whoever it is that they need to talk to, right?
Yeah, exactly. Whoever feels like they can take the information that's coming through, they raise their hand, and then I go and I give them a reading. I was with a gentleman named Scott Allen, who I do quite a few events with, and he's awesome. So it was really fun to be down there and just working with him, and so it was great. And it went really well. The event went really well.
Good.
Yeah.
Who is Scott Allen?
He's a medium from Boston.
Okay. Maybe that's why I don't know him. I haven't heard him. I haven't heard of him.
You should look him up. He's amazing. He's a very good friend of mine, very talented medium.
Yeah, I will for sure. For sure. This is my sister.
Hi.
Hi, my sister. She says, if I feel it's from God, he will kick doors open through discernment. All others we need to question. And I don't disagree with that much. You know, I didn't really want to get into any kind of religious, you know. Hey, sister.
Hey,
I love her. She's my biggest fan.
awesome.
But I kind of agree with her on that. You know, yes, if it's from, but she is still part of the church or you know, part of the Bible believing. You know, she's born again, saved. Whereas I have gone on differently. A different path where, you know, I'm polytheistic where she's still monotheistic, which is okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Again, it's all about understanding, you know, as long as you're studying your own stuff, I guess I'm okay.
yeah. Actively kind of researching and studying.
Yes, right? Exactly. But so she I don't know. They do have and Lisa, correct me if I'm wrong, because if I remember correctly, Christians do believe in gifts.
Yes.
They do believe in gifts. But my question is, how do you know if it's from God or like that one guy, that one heckler that came up to you? How do you know, who was like, nope, it's demons? How do you know that it's not from, you know, what is there a difference? Do you know? I mean, like, you probably get feelings, Chris. You get like kind of a feeling if it's, have you ever came in contact with a negative entity?
Not doing readings. When I do readings, I strictly go with the love, and I strictly go with that high vibration, that kind of like that positive aspect. So the way I look at it is like, you know, demons and things like this, negative energies, whatever you want to call them. They're not on the vibration of love and appreciation and respect and things like that, because it's like they recoil when they hear that. They're like, oh, gross, love, gross. I don't like it. So when I'm doing a reading, I set the intention of connecting with loved ones who've passed. So they're sitting on that high vibrational pedestal where the negative energy is down here. So it doesn't match well.
It is a lower vibration. It's a lower frequency. And
right. And so I don't tap into that frequency. I try not to. I put my intention to where I don't. But when I'm in haunted locations, I've definitely run into some nasty things. And I try to just say, like, look, you know, I keep my free will in check, because I feel like we all have free will and nothing can disturb that. So I keep that in mind, and I just kind of protect myself in different ways. Like I wear like a bracelet, and I have a necklace that a dear friend of mine gave me that has dual pentacles, as above and so below.
Yes. Yeah.
And so I have that as a protective measure as well. And it's made of silver, so it's cool.
Yeah, and I agree with you that it's there goes that science class again on, you know, energy and frequencies. Absolutely. I wish I would have paid attention, but you know, doing the different frequencies of, and there are different frequencies, you know, there's even, this is where quantum physics and physics comes in. There's different frequencies of consciousness. There's different frequencies of being, just being.
Yes.
You know, according to quantum physics, there's, you know, in the multiverse, is it multiverse or multi-world, many worlds theory? My bad. Many worlds theory.
Many worlds theory.
Yeah. Yep. There are many different existences. Whatever like decision that we made today in another universe, we didn't do this podcast because one of us said, fuck it, we're done. You know, we just don't want to, you know, or whatever. But you branch off into different realities, and those are different frequencies. So that's why, you know, why we can't really tap into them. And that's why we'll never know. Right. We might get kind of like breadcrumbs that will lead us to believe, like the dual particle thing. Can a particle be in two places at once? And yes, it can.
Yes, it can. So, they've proven that.
They have proven it. And, you know, I'm so glad I started doing this story on the multiverse and stuff like that, because I'm trying to figure out how I can use science and quantum physics to wrap it into this book and stuff. But
That's cool.
I've been learning a lot, and I really appreciate it, because we're finding out so much now that we didn't know before, and they never could have conceived of in even 1920, 1900s.
Oh,
They
yeah.
never would have been able, no, time travel isn't possible. Now we're finding out it very well might be. Particle can't be in two places at once. Now it's been proven that it can be.
Yeah.
So it's, who's to say that this is not really what is happening?
Absolutely. That's
Just
a great way to look at it.
Yeah, just because you don't personally hear it or feel it. And again, everybody is born with different gifts. Everybody has different gifts. You happen to be able to hear the dead.
Right. Yep. Yeah. Everybody has different abilities. Everybody has different gifts. Everybody has different ways they connect. And it's all valid. It's all from spirit. And I think it's all very good.
Mm-hmm. And that's, that kind of, I don't know, maybe this is something they should teach in the church, is the frequencies and understanding the frequencies, and start teaching, yes, the Bible says this, and this, but you also need to remember, you got to keep your headspace in check and make sure that you're not being negative and being, because being negative puts you in a lower frequency where you're more apt and more able to come in contact with some of these nasty things that go bump in the night that you don't want to see or hear from, Yep. And I think that's that's important, and might be something that they need to start teaching in churches.
Yeah, I think so. It's just keeping your vibration in check and kind of keeping yourself in check as well. I'm sorry. I'm going to try to get to a better connection here.
You're okay. I can hear you fine, but your picture froze. So you're fine. There we go.
Is it better now?
A little bit.
I'm closer to the router in my house, and so
yeah, it's hard when you got to move around.
Dogs to go ballistic. So,
so we haven't had anybody asking any questions, but I guess for me, I would like to know, do you hear from your own spirit guides? I mean, obviously it's other people's spirit guides that you hear from, or other people's spirits that are making contact with you about somebody else. Do you hear from your own? Do they smack you around? Do they tell you, no, you got to do this, you should be doing this? And how cool is that you can hear that?
So it's funny, like my loved ones communicate with me in like signs and symbols.
I can't hear you at all.
But who's passed he's been gone. Can you hear me still?
Now I can.
Okay, sorry about that.
That's okay.
So he's been gone. I don't know what you caught, but
there's
a gentleman that my friend Lenny.
Okay.
So he's a very dear friend of mine who's passed away. But he comes to me. He always used to, the song by the Little River Band, "The Lonesome Loser."
Yes.
So
yes.
he shows me that song because in life, he would always hear that song and be like, "Hey, Chris, I'm the lonesome loser." Like he
joke about it. Yeah.
And he'd laugh about it. He'd be like, "That's me. That song's about me." And so now, like, I'll be in the car, and like there was one time I was in the car and the radio wasn't even on, and all of a sudden it turned on and that song was playing, and I was like, dude, like.
Well, I mean, at least it wasn't Highway to Hell, like in Final Destination.
Yeah, I know,
Jesus
right?
God, have you seen that new movie?
Which one?
Final Destination Bloodlines.
Oh no, I haven't. No, I haven't.
Bro, you should go. Yeah, sorry, sidebar.
No, it's awesome. I'm totally into horror, and me and my daughter watch horror movies. Most recently, we watched the Terrifier series, and woo.
Okay, so my sister has a question.
Sure.
Christopher, how do you know these are your relatives, friends, not demonic presences?
Absolutely. So like I said, setting the intention, setting that vibration, and just knowing that like if a demon or a demonic presence was to come through, likely just do based on, what they're about. I highly doubt they would say, "Hey, I miss you. I love you. I care about you." Right. But somebody on the other side who has a more like friendship, relative kind of vibration, they're going to say things like, "I love you. I miss you." And these are ways that you can benefit and better your life. So the way I know it's them is through positive validation. I
Okay.
would say it's the best way to put it.
I'm going to play devil's advocate here.
Sure.
Because I know my sister's probably thinking this too. When I was going to church and stuff like that, we grew up understand, or with the understanding from being taught that I can't remember exactly how it goes, Lisa. Hopefully you can help me out. But supposedly everybody has their own like personal little demon following them around.
I can believe that. Oh,
now, I named them Carly, Reagan, and Vinny. Those are my children, but
yeah.
I hope they don't watch this.
Yeah, right. Yeah, don't listen to it. Don't listen. Yeah.
but but supposedly we have like our own personal little. My sister knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah. She's laughing.
Supposedly, yeah, she is. Supposedly we have our own little like demon scribe who knows everything about us, because spirits they're not mind readers. They don't they don't read what you're thinking or what you're hearing. They don't read what you're thinking. They can't. They're not. They can only see what they see from their dimension or what have you.
Sure.
But we were taught that the demonic presences regularly would try and use any means necessary, even acting like a presence that's a family member. I do love you. I do miss you. And this is how you can better your life. And they'll start you out nice. They start nice. Yeah, this is it. This is what they find your weakness and then they portray as what we love. They portray what we love, Whoops, sorry. So like they use it against you to try and get in, wear you down. And, you're like, oh, this is, Grandma Millie or whatever. And it is her because, she said this and this and this, which, they may have already seen occur in life. They may give you validation by that. So how is there anything, because you started smiling and I know you have an answer. So how are you able to be certain? I'm with you on the low vibration and the high vibration and the frequencies. I'm with you on that. And I think that's a good explanation. But what would you, if somebody were to come to you and say, hey, I really believe that these demonic presences can portray family members and will tell you what you want to hear just to get in, so that what they're going to do next is going to tell you to do bad stuff, or they'll start, warping your brain. So, what do you think?
Yeah, you said it right there with the last sentence that you said. They will come and start with love, and then they will end with trickery, right?
Right.
So with a loved one, with a relative, with a positive energy, they're never going to trick you. They're never going to get you in a position that's going to put you in jeopardy or in a bad place, right? So that's a way that you can validate that it's loved ones too, is through that positivity, through that like validation of good, right? And putting the intention of like, hey, like, and it sounds crazy, and I'm not a religious person necessarily. I am a reverend of spiritualism, but I'm not necessarily religious. But before every reading, I send out a prayer, and I just say, hey, thank you, God. Thank you to their loved ones. Thank you for the messages of love and positivity, and things like that. So, but I don't know if that necessarily answers your question, but like, if demons are what I'm connecting with, this is the biggest con I've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
Right? They're doing the long game, because this has been 8 years and I've never run into somebody that said, hey, you told me that my grandmother's here, and then turns out my house burnt down or something like that.
Right.
That has not happened. So it's only been positive. It's only been love based. And so that's why I feel like that's the differentiation, is through there's love and then there's hate. There's there's that, like, they start with love, they end with love, as opposed to a darker energy that might start with the idea of love and then end with deception. Right.
No, I agree. And my sister said they deter you from focusing on God.
Yeah. And so if you have a loved one that comes through and they're like, hey, don't believe in what God says, only believe in what I say, that would be a red flag for me.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's a way that
That'd
you
be
can
like a boyfriend or a girlfriend telling you, you don't need your family.
Yeah, it's like you don't need them. It's like, what are you talking about? You're crazy. They're trying to gaslight you, right?
Gaslight you. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like that's probably more of the darker stuff, right?
Yeah. And it starts small. It starts real small. I believe that it starts real small. I also believe that, while yes, everything is on a frequency and all that stuff, I do agree with my sister that they Bye, sister.
Hey, Lisa.
Thanks for coming on, though. Thanks for coming on and posing the question. That was a good question.
No, it makes me think, which is a good thing.
It really does. I mean, it gives a side, people get to hear both sides, and they heard, all that. So thank you for coming on. Appreciate you supporting me. But yeah, so I do believe that, there is a lot of the God, where was I going with this? The frequency stuff that has a lot to do with it. I do believe, but I don't believe that just, she said, my pleasure. I like this commentary.
That's awesome.
My sister, she's fun. She's so much fun. So, but, I do believe that, because in Christianity, they do, like she said, they have the gift of discernment. And my thing is, how do you know that that's not from somewhere else, some other place? But I think a lot of times it comes across as, well, you don't believe the same thing that I believe, so yours isn't from God. Right. It automatically goes to kind of like and I don't think that that's what she was trying to do here at all. But, there are some people that are like that because, oh no, you don't go to church. It can't be discernment. And that's not true.
Right. No.
So, and I didn't know if you had ever come across, like, I know at hauntings and stuff like that, when you're doing investigations and stuff, you come across some weird shit. Weird shit. Yeah. I've only been to, it was a prison in Ohio. I went to Mansfield prison. Yeah. It was a good one. And me and my bestie were just there to do a walkthrough and just to go and get a tour of the place where they did Shawshank Redemption and where Air Force One was at. There was a part where it was filmed at Mansfield prison, and walking through there, it was so crazy because it was a heaviness. It's heavy. And if you're any kind of empath, you understand that heavy feeling, this ominous feeling, or ominous feeling of, the shoe's about to drop, stuff's about to pop off. That is in every prison, every jail. It is just because it's a miserable fucking place.
It is. Like, I was recently at the Eastern State Penitentiary in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And I was walking through the halls and I'm like, this is fucking heavy. Like,
the air is thick.
Yes.
The air is thick. Yeah, it's hard to breathe, and it's just like, my God. And so we were walking through, Katie and I were walking through. I got a ton of pictures, got to see the electric chair. And I was like, oh my God, that's so cool. And then we go down this rung of, like, there were, it was a U shape with cells just in the middle. And it was a straight drop on the other side. We went down the catwalk and we're going by the cells. And I swear to God, something rushed me. You just felt this whoosh get in your face. And you're like, what the hell was that? So it's like, it's some weird, and it wasn't like, it was more like the feeling was afraid, but it wasn't me that was afraid. It was like them that were afraid, but they were going to come at me before I came at them.
It's like a cornered dog, right? Or like,
yes, exactly like a cornered dog. Because I popped my head in the cell. Popped my head in the cell. Yeah, and he's like, "Boom, get out of here!" This is my house.
Yeah, you don't belong here. Go to where it's better. This place is bad.
Yeah, and I'm just like, oh my God. And my friend Katie saw me kind of stumble back because somebody bum rushes you, whether you can see it or not. It's coming, and you automatic jerk back.
Yep.
And so yeah, but it was the coolest place. But that was really the only thing that I got, just other than the heavy and the. I've never. I've had some experiences on some haunts where, some hunts when I go out, where I've been touched and stuff like that. And that's weird because then you're second guessing yourself constantly. Did I really feel that? Did I really get touched?
Yeah.
But how was your experience tell me about your penitentiary run.
It was cool. It was the place where Al Capone stayed for a little while, so we got to see his cell.
Oh, I guess he was at Lucas County Jail too. And we have books. Yeah, we have books in Toledo where Al Capone was there for maybe a weekend, maybe a week. I don't know, but he got in trouble in Toledo sometime.
That's cool.
But yeah, he's on our roster.
That's cool. So it's funny. Is like Eastern State Penitentiary, he had his own like big cell set up. And, what's that?
His own wing.
He did pretty much. I mean, like,
yeah,
he had like a couple beds, a nightstand table with a radio.
What was that? Like, what movie was that from? Goodfellas?
Is that where they're like taken care of in prison?
Where the Italians are all making dinner.
Yeah, that's right. They're all
yeah. He's shaving the garlic like paper thin.
I imagine Al Capone's stay at Eastern State was probably very similar.
It sounds like it was cushy.
Some of the cells I didn't pick on anything or anything like that, but there was this one wing that was shut down. It was completely just barricaded off, and I remember looking down and just seeing very little bits of light coming through, and just feeling this terrible feeling. It was like somebody just like killed a loved one in front of me. It was bad.
Oh, wow.
I was just like, I feel terrible right now. Like, this is not good. I actually had to walk away because I was like, this is too much.
Yeah.
But I think that's where some of maybe the more heavy hitter inmates might have stayed, and just kind of like where some really nasty things might have happened. Because,
the real gross people.
The real gross ones, yeah. So like, I feel like that was just their energies, and just picking up on that. It was unpleasant, but it was cool for validation's sake. It was cool to walk around an old prison because like I've never investigated or walked around an old prison, so it was a first for me, and it was amazing. I loved every second.
They're awesome.
Yeah,
they're awesome. I'm glad they closed Mansfield and they built another Mansfield prison next to it, and they moved the inmates over because the old prison that we tour through, that one was just in such disrepair. It's in such bad shape. But the newer prison, it looks nicer. It looks like a nicer place for the inmates. But which is, I mean, they're still people. Yeah, they're pieces of crap, but they're still people, Yeah. So, but I really liked the old abandoned prison. The way it just looked, it looked like a goddamn castle.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, can I buy this for $1 and rehab it?
I know, right? Can I turn this into my house now? Like,
yeah, exactly. I'll live with the ghosts. We'll get along.
Yeah, we'll be all right. I'll stage that shit every night. I don't care.
Yep. I just need this one wing. You guys can have the rest.
That's right.
During the night, just be quiet.
Yeah, from the hours of midnight to 6, we'll say.
Yeah. Around that. Yeah. I'll even go 11.
Yeah, I say that because I'm up at the ass crack of dawn every morning. It's miserable.
I really wish I wasn't, but yeah, I am too. Me and my husband are, which I don't know, we're trying to watch The Walking Dead in succession. So like, even though we were stupid, we were like, oh, we should start watching The Walking Dead because we haven't seen. And we didn't go all through. Like, I stopped way early because I was just bored with the constant same thing each episode.
Yeah.
So we looked it up. You're supposed to watch Fear the Walking Dead first, which we didn't know. So we stopped watching Walking Dead and started watching Fear the Walking Dead. So that's our nightly routine. So cool. I'm sitting there. He's like, are we watching one more? I'm looking at the time on my clock and I'm on my phone, and I'm just like, I shouldn't, but yes, we're going to watch another episode.
Yeah, right.
I'm up till midnight, and then I regret it in the morning. Like this morning, it was 6:30. My body was like, get up, bitch.
Yeah, right. Rise and shine. It's happening.
Please, no.
Yeah,
I'm too old to jazzercise and mousercise.
Yeah, right.
That's what I used to do. Yeah. I used to get up in mousercise at 6:30 in the morning when I was a kid. They had an exercise thing on Disney Channel called Mouser Size for kids. It was great. And
Yeah.
I used to do it. My mom, I'd wake up my mom and she'd get so mad at me.
Yeah. What are you doing at
But
this
yeah,
time of morning?
it was, yeah, if it wasn't her, it was my Aunt Connie who was like, your kid is mouser-sizing again and she's loud. And I'm just jumping around all happy. I was a very healthy child. I don't know. I'm a fat
That's
fuck
awesome.
now, but yeah, it was good. It was so much fun. But yeah, now I'm like, why does my body, I'm almost 50. Why does my body still have to wake me up at 6:30 in the morning? Thank you very much, bitch.
Yeah. I hear you, man. I hear you.
Oh, if we go over a little bit, I don't care.
Okay.
I want to know
Sure.
the witching hour.
Ah,
Why?
why is that a thing?
Why is that a thing? And what the fuck do you want at 3:00 in the goddamn morning?
So it's funny. I have a YouTube channel that I don't use much anymore, but I used to put out some videos on there. And one of them was called Psychic Silence. And I truly believe that the witching hour is a moment where everybody's asleep. And so the psychic energy of your area is down. So it's low, right? Not a lot of people are awake and functioning and kind of like using their brains to get through daily life. So the psychic silence kind of happens through those types of hours. And that's when spirit, I feel like, can be like, oh, okay, like I can come to you during this time because there's less energy flow going on around you. Does that make sense?
So it's not, it's like a soup kind of a thing. Like the psychic energy in the air is like kind of like a soup or mud. Like a
and so
mud.
from the, like when everybody's asleep, it's like the sieve
gone.
opens up. It's like, yeah, it's like the soup is put through a sieve and it gets filtered through, and then other energies can come through and kind of wake you up or give you a message or things like that. But that's just my opinion. You know, that's what I feel like resonates with me, is that like it's during those moments of psychic silence during the nighttime that you know, spirit, God, whoever can come through and give you those messages and kind of, you know, see what's up.
Yeah. Okay. Because I wondered, I mean, because like I know that some people say because it's the opposite of the time that Jesus died on the cross or something like that. I don't know. Oh, my sister's back.
Hey.
Why are you being a stalker? She's also perimenopausal. I'm just flat out menopausal, and I'm up whenever at whatever times, you know.
Well, and there's also real
hormones.
Yeah, there's also real world factors, you know, like age, premenopausal,
pre, post, during,
post, yeah, all the things. You know, I mean, there's also very real physical world reasons why people wake up in the middle of the night as well. But so, on a spiritual level, that's what I think is going on.
Do you think that maybe that's kind of like a pattern that everybody is, you know, because we as humans, we look for patterns in everything. Do you think that maybe it's just one of those patterns that we're just looking for?
It could be. It could be one of those things where it's like, okay, well, this has happened, so it's starting to become a habit. And then when things start to become a habit, you expect it. So it's like, it's almost like your brain tricks you into believing it's a thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know. Like I said, just my opinion, you know?
Yeah. Cause I mean, there's a lot of stuff that some people do, even in their pagan path, that I just look at and I'm like, that's just a lot of fluff in my opinion, you know, but that's just my opinion. I live and let live. I don't care what you do, but to me, a lot of stuff does not need to be done the way that some people do it. I'm not going outside in a black robe with nothing underneath. I am not going and you know, I don't need to have everything dark. You know, I'm allowed to have light colored stuff and still be, you know, the little evil demented soul in my head.
You know, it's so funny you said that, because like when I first became a medium, or like first found out that I was a medium, I thought it was very like, I couldn't listen to death metal. Like I thought that like that was a bad thing, like because it would lower my vibration.
Your vibration.
Right. And I thought that like if I watched horror movies, I wouldn't be able to, you know, connect with spirit because they aren't on that vibration either. They're more of love and light as opposed to darkness. Come to find out, that's all horse shit.
Yeah,
like,
it is.
The universe is like, hey, are you happy? Are you good? then you're good. Then we're good.
And really, there's a balance. Everything is a balance. And my sister, I will define paganism here in just a second, or being pagan. 1 second, because I did research on that. But I do think that a lot of things that some people, like, I remember growing up, I wasn't allowed to watch scary movies because it might open the door. It'd be a portal.
Right.
And I'm like, I don't believe that stuff. I don't. After yes, he is a psychic medium.
Yes, ma'am.
Lisa. So being pagan in the beginning, back before Constantine, or I think that's who it was. Yeah, Constantine or something like that. It just meant someone who dwelled outside of the city limits, someone who dwelled in the country. When Constantine came in and Constantine became king, and he became a Christian, a born again Christian. So this is back, I think, around 1300s ish. When he decided to, become a Christian and stuff like that, he made pagan. He turned the definition from just a country dweller. He turned it into a definition that means one without God. So the definition originally was just some, and that's kind of the reason why older single women were kind of looked at as witches automatically. 9 times out of 10, them and their husbands already had a house out in the country. They knew how to work the land. They understood the herbs and all that stuff. And when their husbands died, or maybe they were just single old ladies, they were looked at as witches because they used herbs for everything.
Right.
You really can. I have books upon books of what herbs are good for what, ailments, and I use them. I make my own caplets. If I was just some little hermit old lady out in the country, they'd probably think I was a hag witch too. So, and I'm not exactly the nicest person either. My sister, I believe, Lisa, you got to be a little more specific. So give me a yes or no question. Our grandmother just passed in September, because you had read for me recently, and then my father in February. So is there anyone specifically, or do you have anybody, Christopher, that is trying to come through for my sister Lisa?
I feel like the best way for me to do that for her would be to have her on the phone, or to do like a Zoom or something, and I would be more than happy to do that for her. So let's see. So if she wanted to get a reading from me, like, we can definitely set something up. And because she's your sister and she's on the podcast, like, I won't, like, free of charge, all good.
Lisa, I'll hook you up with him. Yeah. And because sometimes first of all, the last time him and I were on, he had actually a message, not just for me, but for my husband.
That's right.
Who still talks about it. You blew his mind all day.
Is that right? What the hell? Yeah.
He was like, yeah, we're so it's funny that you had said, there's an older guy, late 30s, early 40s. It was his dad. So, right. Or his grandpa. So that was really awesome. You blew his mind. She goes, okay, I'm interested in his theology.
Very cool.
So yeah. So when I'll hook you up with him, Lise, and you two can chat and have whatever discussion. Lisa, if you're not nice, I'm coming back to slap you.
She's okay, no matter what.
My sister is so funny, because when we were younger, I used to tell her, I hope she gets hit by a Mack truck.
Oh no.
And then I grew up a little bit, and I felt bad for the painful death that I was trying to bestow upon her. And right. I said, okay, I don't hope you get hit by a Mack truck, but I hope you die in your sleep. So, rude. Either way you look at it.
Also peaceful, I guess.
Yeah, it was less painful.
Yeah, right. Yeah, less painful than a Mack truck for sure.
But now that I'm an author, I get to kill her via Mack truck. And I did.
That's so funny. I was I have a book of short stories that I haven't released yet. But they're
You
all
better get on that.
I know I should. But in the story, when I wrote them, I was in a really dark place. And so I always said that if I tortured my characters worse than I had it, I would feel better about my life.
Yes.
So I don't know if that
it's true. It's therapy.
It is therapy. It's very cathartic.
She said sister love.
Absolutely. That's awesome.
I learned that I didn't want you to die painfully. So just give me a break.
That's growth. That's growth.
It is.
Yeah.
It shows.
That's awesome.
But I did get to, I was very glad. I texted her, it was a couple weeks ago, I think. I texted her, it was like, hey, bitch, I finally got to kill you off like I wanted to.
It's been so many years, but
I finally got there.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, good.
Oh, good. Yeah. At least she's got a good sense of humor about it.
She does. She does. She's hilarious. My whole family, we're all kind of retarded, but yeah, it's fun. But we are at an hour.
All right.
And I would like to, first of all, thank you for coming on. I really appreciate you taking the time today. It's Saturday. It's our day off. And you had a really super busy weekend last weekend. Hopefully you can get some rest and, just tone it down. I do have one thing to ask of you.
Sure.
What advice would you give to anyone, just anybody who might see this today? Oh my God. I'm sorry I'm late. Can you start over? You real late. You late.
Yeah, really. That's awesome.
My sister said, thanks, Christopher. And I thank you as well. But I want to know what piece of advice would you give to people to kind of slow down or just completely rebel negative energies that might be trying to infiltrate them when they're already in a bad place?
Yep. The way I do it, the way that worked for me, because my past is pretty dicey. I don't get into it much on podcasts or anything like that. I leave that for my book and other things. The next book I got coming out is called The Untrained Medium, and that describes a lot of the hardships that I went through.
I can't wait to get these books.
Thank you. I'm just waiting for it to get edited, and then I'm waiting for the cover to be drawn. But then it's already written. So hopefully by the end of this year, my second book will be out. But for what helped me get through those dark times, what helped me kind of figure this out is mantras. Just using the term in my mind, like I'm going to get through this. Things are going to be okay. I'm surrounded by love. I'm surrounded by light. The spirit world sees me. The spirit world supports me. The spirit world loves me. Right. And so our brains, it sounds crazy, but it's kind of like, they're the computers basically. And so you can reprogram your brain to get out of those funks. And if you say it over and over and over again, your brain is like, oh, wait, eventually it's going to be like, I am okay. I am okay.
Yes.
I am appreciated. And you start to, instead of it being like, I wish I knew, it starts to become a belief and a knowing.
Yes.
Right.
That's the whole, when you're sick, don't tell yourself you're sick.
Exactly. Just say I'm going to get better. I'm going to
I'm fine.
I'm fine. I am okay. Right. And then the next day you wake up and you're like, I can breathe again.
Yeah. Yes.
And so it's very much like that, just trusting in the spirit world and trusting in the world around you, the physical world around you. I talk about the spirit world a lot, but I don't talk about the physical world around us as well, which is so important. We have to live in tandem with each other. We have to have that balance of both. And I would say that's very important too, is not try to get trapped into one or the other. Just kind of keep a foot in both worlds. It was the best advice probably somebody ever gave me. Is my friend Greg, actually. He said, when you're doing this work, keep one foot in both worlds so it doesn't get overwhelming either way.
Right. That's beautiful advice.
Thank you. But that would be the best advice I could give, is just to make sure you tell yourself and treat yourself well. Treat yourself good, because the universe loves you. The universe cares. And if God loves you, you should love yourself. right?
Yeah.
If the universe
Absolutely.
loves you, you should love yourself too. Whatever you want to call it. It could be that place of unconditional love and light. It could be God. It could be the universe. It could be Odin, whatever.
Yeah.
But in every one of those things, there is love there and there's
Yep.
appreciation. So just remember that and keep that in the back of your mind.
That is so sound advice. I really appreciate you coming on today. Thank you so much. And thank you to everybody. Thank you, my sister, who, showed up and asked questions and, just she was a rock star. Thank you for supporting me. And thank you to Lana, my little Lana lady. She showed up late. And Lana loves that advice too.
Awesome.
So, so thank you for showing up and just being here. Thank you for being you. And I want to thank everybody else out there for checking us out. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And if Chris, we can find you on Amazon. We can find anything on Amazon. What about Facebook? Are we looking for you on Facebook too?
Yep, you can find me on Facebook. You can find me on psychicmediumchristopher.com. So I have a website that you can go to. You can also find me at events all around New England. I'm going to be at the James House on June 20th. That's in New Hampshire. It's a really great location. I'm going to be doing a gallery and a ghost hunt there. I'm also going to be at the Paracon in Connecticut. It's going to be a Paracon in true crime. So it'll be July, I think 12th and 13th, I believe. I don't have my phone on me, but
I will tell you the weekend of the 11th is a Friday, the 12th is a Saturday, the 13th is a Sunday, because I have a thing going on in July as well that exact weekend in Glendale, Arizona.
It's the Paracon in true crime, Paracon in Connecticut. It's run by Charles Rosnay and Thomas Patrick Gromley. Very cool people, very awesome.
Shout out to Thomas Patrick Gromley. We love him.
Out. That's right. He's the man. So I am very honored and grateful to be a speaker at that event. There's also the Horror and Maine Paracon, which is going to be in September, which I'm doing a free gallery reading for folks there as well.
Is that this September?
That's this September.
Okay.
Yep. That's the 7th and the 6th and the 7th, I believe.
I think I'm coming to Maine next year.
That's awesome.
We'll see.
That's super fucking cool. Yeah, we should meet up.
I think I'm going to be at one of the conventions through Adam.
Very cool. Nice.
Yeah. So you'll probably be there too.
Yeah. So that's where you can find me. Like I said, I'm available for private readings. If anybody's interested, just give me a shout and we can set something up and it'll be all good.
Yeah, I will tell you, this dude's legit.
Thank you.
I've had him and I had a nice extra hour-long discussion when we got off of here last time, and he is cool as shit. I really appreciate you, Christopher. Thank you so much for coming on. You have no idea. You warmed my little cold heart. Everybody else, have a good rest of the day. We are done. We went a little over. Sorry about that, but hey, we were waiting for Lana. So have a great day, guys. Thank you so much. Bye.